The Knicks have a major problem, and that problem is defense. And we saw it on full display last night in our loss to the Detroit Pistons. We saw during the first quarter of that game, the first play, the uncontested three from Tim Hardaway Jr. He converts on that bucket, and that sets the tone for the entire game. The Pistons were able to get whatever they wanted. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey were able to attack, penetrate, find the open cutter, find the open shooter. The perimeter was open for Detroit all evening long. All they had to do was make one pass, or sometimes make two passes just to get somebody open. And it was always an open three. Cade would hit it. Ivy would hit it. But the person who hurt us the most with their three-point shot tonight was Malik Beasley. He hit us for 7 threes. A lot of them were open. The Knicks were setting a lot for their jump shots and a lot for threes. They were not attacking. They were not aggressive. And when they did turn it on and they were trying to be aggressive on defense and on offense, it was too late because they were fighting an uphill battle. When you dig a hole and you're down by as much as 16 points, it's hard to overcome that. The Knicks tried. They battled back each and every time, getting it as close to 2 points in the fourth quarter. But the Pistons never let up. They continued to attack, continued to shoot, continued to dominate the pick and roll, and we could not do anything to answer back. They beat us, they dominated us, and in the process, they exposed the Knicks defense. We're going to break down exactly how the Knicks lost and all of the key aspects where Detroit dominated New York in. We're going to talk about this and so many different points today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and have notifications turned on as well too. So that way, anytime we drop new content, you get notified. And now, let's get started. The Knicks defense collapses. New York cannot stop the three-point shot from the Detroit Pistons. It was like clockwork for them. They were doing it all game long. They would attack, and then they would throw it to a cutter, or they would attack, throw it up to Jalen Duran, or they would attack and throw it to somebody open in the corner. And there was always somebody open in the corner. Talk about late closeouts. Sometimes there were no closeouts. There were times where we saw the person open at three. We would see them, we would run, but because we were so late, we would stop and watch them set and shoot that shot. If you're a fan of this channel and you watched it for a long time, then you know one of my biggest pet peeves in the entire game of basketball is a defender seeing his man set and get ready for a shot and shoot that shot, make that shot, and we have no resistance toward him. Now, it wasn't only the shooting that hurt us. Cade Cunningham, his triple-double, the way he dominated the Knicks, we had no answer for that man. That man was shooting at will, wherever he wanted. He wanted to shoot a three, he could shoot it. He wanted to attack inside, he could do it. But where he killed us the most was where he abused the pick and roll against the Knicks. Duran, he was abusing it. Isaiah Stewart, he was abusing it. He was attacking inside. They were getting to the line. They were finding open shooters. Penetration and creating. That's what they were doing all night long, riding Jaden Ivey, riding Cade Cunningham. And when those two were out of the game, they were riding Malik Beasley because he was getting inside the paint, breaking down the Knicks defense and shooting floaters, or passing it to the corner, getting an open three-point shot, or relocating himself on the floor and then himself getting open and him taking that open three-point shot. But that's what killed us. Every single time we tried to make a run. And in that second quarter, even though we were down 16 points, we started to make a run. We got it down to 4. And then if you look at halftime, still down 11. In that third quarter, we make a run, get it down to around 6 points. That fourth quarter, we get it down to 2 points off of an alley-oop from Jalen Brunson to Ariel Hukporti. It was beautiful basketball until it wasn't. They call a timeout, and then they themselves get an alley-oop from Cade Cunningham to Jalen Duran. And then after that, Cade goes inside. He gets an easy bucket. Open three-point shot, open three-point shot. And then it's a 14-2 run. We look back. The Knicks are not even close to being in this game again. We try to fight back again. We're almost in it again. 8 and 7 point game at that 2-minute mark in the fourth quarter. And then Josh Hart gets ejected by the softest referee I have ever seen in my life. Mind you, Cade Cunningham goes in his face a couple of plays before this and screams, curses, and yells in his face. No tech called. Josh Hart gets a tech earlier in the game, so he's already in hot water. He really can't do anything to upset the refs. But if you know Josh Hart, he really doesn't care about that. He plays with his emotion on his sleeve. And last night, it got the best of him. He said something to the ref, basically complaining that he would not give a tech to Cade Cunningham, especially with the Knicks making a mini run, because that might have helped the Knicks. But that wasn't called. Instead, he was ejected, sent to the back with, I believe, 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. But we did have to talk about it because it did affect the Knicks late when we were trying to make that mini comeback. The Pistons would never allow us to get back into the game. The Knicks did not come defensively, and it showed. And if you take a look here, the final score, 120 to 111. The Knicks dropped this game to the Detroit Pistons, who are a much improved team from last year. They fight, they go after it. And even though defensively they're a pretty good team, what makes them very good is that they're always active. They're always trying, and they're always into the game. When you're always like that and you're attacking and you're a young team and you feed off of that, you're always going to be a very difficult team to beat. And when you allow these guys to shoot open threes, they're definitely going to be hard to beat. I mean, take a look at this. Look at the quarter-to-quarter breakdown. The Pistons scored 39 points in the first quarter. We allowed the Pistons to score 39 points in the first quarter. They were up 16 points on us in the first. We were already down. And when you're in basketball, NBA-level games like this, and you're playing at a deficit, and you're always coming from behind, and you get close, and then they go away with the lead again, and then you try to get it close again, and then they run away with the game again. It's debilitating. It takes you out of the game because it takes a lot of effort to fight and claw and try to get your way back in. And when you're this close, and then they hit a three, and then they hit another three, and then they penetrate and create inside, and they take away your advantage, and then the lead balloons back to 12, 13 points, you look at yourself and you're thinking, why did I fight so hard for? Because look at what we have to show for it now. We figured out the Cade Cunningham problem way too late. And when we started throwing doubles at him, they were already up by 14, 15 points. And at that point, they had so much confidence that they were passing it along to any other player. And then that player would find somebody open in the corner, open three. The Knicks are just watching them dominate them time and time again. And that's what we saw. The only bright spot that we have for this game in terms of offense was Jalen Brunson. We can look in terms of his turnovers. He did have 5 of those. Early on, those turnovers hurt us. I thought there were some plays that he was trying to go behind his back with passes or just doing some really unnecessary things with passing the ball. He doesn't have to do that. As you see there, he has 10 assists. Normally, each and every game that he's playing for the Knicks, he's getting you 8 assists, 9 assists, 10 assists. And he's doing that by playing within the flow of the offense, not forcing anything, and finding open players on the floor. When you start getting fancy, that's when turnovers happen. That's when you start messing up, and the other team looks at that, and then they have confidence. They take the ball away from you, which was happening, and then they're pushing it up the court. But Jalen still had 31 points. He was 11 of 21 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. Like we said, 10 assists, and he also had those 5 turnovers. And after the game, he was asked by the media about the Knicks and their recent slow starts. And what he had to say was, the game starts at 7:30. We've got to be ready at 7:30. Obviously, that's Jalen Brunson for you. Going back to the quarter breakdown, you can see here that the Knicks actually won the second quarter by 35 points and won the third quarter by 27 points. But the Pistons won the first quarter and the fourth quarter. Now, that third quarter is worth talking about just a little bit. The main reason for that is the Knicks were actually playing defense during that quarter. They were playing the passing lane. OG Anunoby, a couple of blocks. Mikal Bridges, a couple of blocks. We even saw Precious Achiuwa get a couple of blocks on Jalen Duran, playing great defense inside. The Knicks were playing the passing lane, getting the ball, getting steals, passing the ball up in transition, and getting easy buckets. Or they were finding the open player in the corner or the open shooter because they were passing the ball, and that was helping us get back into the game. That quarter was the best basketball that you saw from the Knicks the entire game long. But it points to another problem. How come we can play defense so well, even undermanned, in that third quarter, but we can't do it in the first quarter or the second quarter, or for that matter, even in the fourth quarter? Why is it not consistent? Something else worth talking about. Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, we had no Karl-Anthony Towns because he was out dealing with a knee injury. So we needed another starter. And Jericho Sims was the one that got the start here. Now, if you're looking at the box score, you wouldn't know that because the box score would try to indicate that Sims probably was the backup and Achiuwa was probably the one that started. And that was not the case at all. What we saw was Jericho Sims last night start against Detroit, basically played that first quarter, and then was benched for the entire game. 0 points, 0 shots, 0 rebounds, a -9 in 6 minutes. There was one play in that first quarter where he was given the ball. He drives and runs up all the way to the paint with that ball, loses the ball, it's a turnover, and then Detroit pushes it all the way up the court, and they get a transition bucket on the Knicks. So easy, and it happens because of Detroit's defense, but also Jericho Sims not having enough court awareness to understand where his man was and where the ball was near him. And when you don't have any of that awareness, it's going to cause a turnover. That's what happened. He also didn't really have an impact out there defensively. If you were looking defensively, he still gave up a lot of points inside. He would get caught a lot. The Detroit Pistons were really getting anything they wanted inside the paint when he was inside. It didn't really matter. And when he went after one player to try to help or anything like that, another cutter would be inside or somebody would be open in the corner and they would hurt the Knicks because of that. So all of those factors led to him being benched and we didn't see him again. The players we saw after him were Ariel Hukporti and Precious Achiuwa. And Achiuwa last night in his second game back, he played 28 minutes, by the way. 6 points on 2 of 3 shooting, 10 rebounds. He was getting rebounds inside the paint, offensive rebounds. He was making it hard on the Detroit Pistons. He even had a great block on Jalen Duran. So he was giving you everything on offense and on defense as well, too. He can move without the ball extremely well, and you saw that last night against the Detroit Pistons. His pick and roll game with Jalen Brunson was very good as well, too. He also gave you 4 assists, so he can pass the ball, he can play make, and he can find the open man. 1 steal, 1 block. That block was on Jalen Duran, and he was a +10, which was a team best. Every time that Jericho Sims loses minutes, it seems like Precious Achiuwa absorbs those minutes. And I think that's going to be the common trend that we see moving forward. And it's not to say that Sims is not going to see any more time. I said it in another video before. If you have 2 bad games under Tom Thibodeau, it's not going to mean you're benched forever. Jericho Sims is going to have another opportunity to play for this team and showcase what he can do. And hopefully he doesn't make that many mistakes. He can stay on the floor and we can see what him and a Precious Achiuwa lineup looks like when he's out there. We haven't seen that yet, but I think Tom Thibodeau has been wanting to do that, but Sims hasn't allowed them to do that really because of the play he's been giving us over the last couple of games. And this is the worst time for it to happen. So the best thing to do is to bench him and give those minutes to Achiuwa. The worst timing for Sims to pick this time during the season to have his worst stretch of games. But that's exactly what's happening. Achiuwa, though, is making the best of the moment. In that third quarter, he was the one that started, not Jericho Sims. And I thought that was something very significant and key. Sims could have started that third quarter. Obviously, he was there on the bench. No injuries, but Thibodeau continued to bench him because he saw Achiuwa. He saw the impact of Achiuwa not only on offense, but also on defense. And I thought the rotations at center yesterday showed you exactly what Tom Thibodeau wants out of that position. Even though he wants defense, he needs something, even a little bit on offense. Sims gives you nothing on offense. Some nights, he gives you absolutely 0. And last night, he absolutely gave you 0. Zeros across the board. Hukporti, when he was in the game, he was rolling, playing the pick and roll well with Jalen Brunson. He was attacking and getting you points. He was playing good defense. He was able to hold up Cade Cunningham on one of his shots going to the rim. I saw that. I took notice of that. Clearly, Tom Thibodeau did as well, too, because he was given significant time off the bench. More minutes than Jericho Sims. Ariel Hukporti was somebody that Tom Thibodeau looked toward. And, of course, Precious Achiuwa. 28 minutes. He is definitely going to be a big off the bench. He is clearly going to be a weapon for this team moving forward. Somebody that we can put out there that can do a lot of the same things that Karl-Anthony Towns can do, but obviously at a lesser level. Obviously, he can't shoot the 3-ball like Towns. He can't drive and attack with his body like Towns, but he can still drive. He can still cause problems inside. And because he does that, the defense is going to collapse on him. And because he can pass the ball, he's going to find somebody open. He's going to find an open shooter, an open cutter, somebody open on the wing, and that's going to help the Knicks convert. And that's really all you want. Karl-Anthony Towns, he can do the same thing as well, too. Now, imagine you have both of them on the floor together, Towns and Achiuwa. They both offer the same thing, and also that means they both can switch on offense and on defense. Let's talk about some of the bright spots we saw last night against the Detroit Pistons. We talked about Jalen Brunson. He obviously was a bright spot despite those 5 turnovers. Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, also a couple of bright spots for New York. We saw last night from Mikal Bridges, +2, had 1 block, 2 steals, 3 of 9 from 3, 8 of 17 from the field, and 20 points. Very good defense from Mikal at points in time as well. But here's the thing. I don't want to praise individual defense because I could do that for a number of players. I could do it for OG Anunoby, who I'm about to do it for. We could do it for Jalen Brunson, for Josh Hart, for a number of players on the Knicks. But team defense is the major issue here, not individual defense. In that third quarter, when we outscored them 20-27 in that quarter, the main reason for that was because of our defense. We were getting steals, playing the passing lane, pushing the ball up in transition, and making sure we were finding the open man by finding the open player in the corner or passing the ball a couple of times so that way we can get to the open shooter or attacking and then going to the line. Now, obviously, if you look at the free throw percentage, the Knicks had a very big problem at the line last night against the Detroit Pistons. I promise you, we're going to get to that and so many of the other team stats as well, too. But going back to that third quarter, our wings did exactly what they needed to do. They were playing the passing lane, getting block shots, pushing the ball up in transition, and making sure the game was easier for the Knicks. Mikal was doing that, but so was OG Anunoby. Now, even though OG has to work on his shooting percentage, especially from 3, 2 of 8 from 3, 6 of 15 from the field, he shows you time and time again. It does not matter if he's scoring 17 points like he did last night, if he has 4 points or whatever the case may be. He will always be playing defense, and he'll always play it at an elite level. 4 steals, 2 blocks, a -9 when he was on the floor last night for New York. The Knicks shot 53.2% from the field. The Detroit Pistons shot 51.8% from the field. 51.8% and 53.2%. So clearly, the Knicks had no problem on offense in terms of shooting the ball from the field. But here is where the biggest difference was and where the Knicks lost the game. The Knicks allowed the Detroit Pistons to shoot 50% from 3. I say allow because a lot of the 3-pointers that they hit were wide open. Conversely, the Knicks only hit 32.4% of their threes. And that's where the Knicks lost the game. The Knicks also had 15 turnovers. That is not like us. We normally stay under 11 or 10 turnovers a game. So 15 turnovers is a lot. Conversely, the Pistons had 19 turnovers. Now, they turned the ball over a lot. We just could not capitalize on them turning the ball over. In terms of rebounds, the Knicks were dominated 43-31. If you're getting beat on the boards by that much, you're not playing defense, you're not hitting your 3-pointers, and you're allowing Detroit to get open 3-point shots, of course you're going to lose this game. Of course you're going to be down by 15, 16 points in this game. And that's exactly what happened. The team stats show it to you exactly. The Knicks were not playing perimeter defense, and it showed. 50% for them from 3, that is absolutely an embarrassment. Let's look at the shot chart, though, and the rest of these team stats to see where else Detroit dominated New York. We talked about the rebounding. We talked about the 3-point shot. But the main area where the Knicks lost this game was free throw shooting. The Knicks got to the line 27 times, but they only made 16 free throws. Conversely, the Pistons shot 19 free throws, made 16 of them for 84.2% at the line. The Knicks left 11 points at the free throw line. 11 points. Let's take a look again at the final score. Final score again for the Knicks, 120-111. And they left 11 points at the free throw line. If they make all of their free throws, this game is 122-120 in the Knicks' favor. But because we didn't do that, because we didn't make our free throws, we left so many points at the line, we lost this game. Because of our defense, because of our free throws, and because of all of the open 3-point shots we allowed Detroit to hit. The rebounds also didn't help us as well, too. We lost there as well. 27 assists is okay, but we probably should have done a little bit better considering the fact that we are missing so many players. When you're missing some of your star players, you have to be able to move the ball even more to get more open shots because that's the only way you're going to win. That defense, alongside of the Knicks not being able to hit their free throws when they were getting to the line, was a recipe for disaster, and it led to the Knicks losing this game, and they did not have any answer for Cade Cunningham, for Jaden Ivey, for that two-man game, or for this Detroit Pistons team that pushed them around. And really, they were able to get whatever they wanted to get, do whatever they wanted to do on offense. Any shot they wanted, they basically had. They were able to attack without resistance. They bullied us. They made us look small, and they also exposed the Knicks defense. We're supposed to be a better defensive team than that. I know we didn't have Karl-Anthony Towns, but honestly, even if we did, the only thing the Knicks might have done better is rebound the ball better. Other than that, we would have still gotten taken advantage of inside. They would have pushed the ball against us, try to push the ball in pace, and try to get the open shots in the corner, inside the paint by penetrating and creating, and they still did that. They were able to do that against Preston Achiuwa, Ariel Hukporti, and Jericho Sims. So I think they probably would have been able to do it against Karl-Anthony Towns. The Knicks should be absolutely embarrassed by this loss to the Detroit Pistons. We should be ashamed of ourselves. The fact that we allowed the Pistons, who are 2-7 in their last 9 games, to not only beat us, but dominate us, destroy us, it is absolutely unacceptable. We're supposed to be a championship contender. The Pistons might be lucky to be a play-in team, and we allowed that. We allowed them to do that to us. Absolutely unacceptable. Tom Thibodeau and this Knicks team has to make the changes and the adjustments that we need to be better, to be locked in and focused. Because if we play this exact same way against the Toronto Raptors tomorrow, or better than that, if we play this way in our very important NBA Cup quarterfinals matchup on Wednesday against the Atlanta Hawks, we are not only going to lose, we are going to get blown off the court. We need to refocus and lock in. The Knicks need to make sure this never happens again. We're supposed to be a championship contender. It's about time that we act like it and make sure we're the ones dominating teams. We're the ones blowing out teams. And we're the ones sending a message to the league. The message that we sent to the league last night was that if you attack us and you're aggressive against us, you can beat us and we can lose. That's not the message you want to send. But what about you guys? What do you think about the Knicks dropping this game against the Detroit Pistons, 120 to 111? Let me know how you feel about that in the comments section below, guys. What things did you like? What things did you not like? Let me know, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans, take care of yourself, your families, and each other. Peace and love.